All right, everybody, welcome. We are hitting up episode 3 of the West Side Story. Getting ready to wrap up 2019, but very much not getting ready to wrap up on this little project we've been working on. It's been fun. I'm joined in studio, if that's what you can call this little office space, in studio by my lovely wife, partner in crime, Anya Piper. Anya? Enya.
You know, that would make sense to people listening if they would have heard our pre-talk before.
I know, it's an inside joke now.
Yeah, ha, ha, ha. It's Anya, thank you.
I know it is. And then I am joined somebody who is navigating I-5 Seattle corridor traffic right now, Mr. Dan Brown.
Hola.
That's got to be dangerous.
Nah, not too dangerous.
Not too dangerous.
I only have about 7 miles to go. My wife has it bad because she's going all the way from almost Showware. She's down in Renton all the way up to where we live in northeast Seattle. So I've got a short jaunt.
That's rough, man. That's rough.
It is, but seeing a car in front of me with the Texas plate and the Dallas Stars logo makes it a little bit better. Seattle's becoming a hockey town.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really cool, man. I've noticed over the last few years that you see a few more hockey fans popping up around the area, so it's kind of cool. Lots of Vegas Golden Knights fans in our area. Do you feel like there's a lot of Vegas people over on the west side?
I think so. I think they did a lot of hype around it, and then the tour that they did up around the West Coast, like up all the way into Montana. I think that went a long way with people to say, hey, we're a new team, go ahead and root for us. And a lot of people go in and out of Vegas for a lot of things, and so they're like, yeah, sure, that's great.
Definitely.
And then when they started, cleaning house with everybody in their first year, I think it brought them a lot more fans.
Yeah, it's really, really easy to get people behind you when you're winning.
True story.
Or let me say it's easier, unless you're like a Boston-based team. Then it's a little bit harder, but it's easier whenever you're winning.
That's true.
I think that's cool. It's funny you say that. We didn't even plan to talk about this, but you talk about the Knights tour. They actually, from what I understand, they do that every year. Even they're what, third year now in the league, and they do that little what do they call it? Smaller market media tour or something like that they do.
Yeah, it's like the Golden Knights Road Show.
Yeah, which I think is awesome.
That's actually neat. I didn't even know about that.
Yeah, and it goes into
it's cool.
It goes to the smaller markets. I think one of the bigger ones is like it might go through Boise and stuff like that. But
is it just like an awareness campaign about?
I don't know, Dan. Can you speak to? I think a few of the players hop on board with it, and other executives and stuff travel around with it.
Yeah, they just go around and hit smaller rinks and shake people's hands and get out on the ice and bring a little bit of swag along, and both figurative and literal, and then go do their thing. And it's like the Seahawks do with our fans in Hawaii and the Pacific Islands and things like that, where you just have a market for it. People gravitate toward it, and they're kind of pushing for more fans, which I think is great, especially for a team like Vegas, which is an itinerant market. You have a bunch of people that live there, but a ton of people that just visit it.
Yeah, it's definitely it's a good idea. I know the Mariners come over here, to the east side of the state as well to try to keep themselves hyped up and everything. So that's cool. Good for Vegas, man. We'll see what I'm really interested to see what Seattle does. To kind of follow the model of Vegas, but to also create their own path. It's going to be a pretty cool thing to watch. So
yeah, it is.
Let's talk books. We had this conversation a few weeks ago offline where we said we're coming up. Well, we're not coming up. We're in the holiday season now, which I still can't believe. But we all love to read. We like to read hockey books. And we said, hey, there's going to be a dude or a dudette somewhere that's not going to know what to get their significant other this time of year. So maybe there's a few book nerds out there listening that would want some suggestions. So that is what we are here to provide today. And awkward.
Oh yeah.
Cue awkward silence.
I gave you an yeah.
I like.
I'm always up for books, and definitely a nerd in many facets, but especially a book nerd.
Yeah, I would love to read a lot more than what I do, to be honest with you. But I do find that when I pick up a good hockey book, it's hard to put it down. I've read a few. That's a yeah. Let's hop into that, and we'll talk some other things after that. my wife, who I've called a noob in the sport, she's not really a noob anymore though. She's really hopping into it, kind of feet first, which is kind of cool. But you picked up a book recently called Offside.
Yeah.
Tell us about Offside.
So first, let me preface this by saying this is the first hockey book I have ever read.
Wow.
I know.
Hey, nice job.
I know.
If I could say one thing, Anya, I think it's awesome that you're jumping in with both feet and you don't have to justify your existence and being new to the sport, and nobody that we talk to is forcing you through that, because that kind of stuff bothers me, which kind of dovetails into that book, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I can't say I finished it. I'm probably about 3/4 of the way. So I got about a quarter left of the book, but it's been really good just listening to, or I guess reading and listening in my head, to Rhonda's story and where she came from and why she got started involved with the Canadian Hockey League, and crazy the amount of prejudice, if you will, between men's hockey and female hockey, and how it translates to today. It's still going on like 50 plus years later.
Absolutely.
Have you read it, Dan?
I haven't yet. No, I've chatted with Rhonda back and forth on LinkedIn. She reached out to me because she was like, hey, I see you have a love for the women's hockey like I do. And we chatted a little bit back and forth. I haven't told her we're doing a book review yet, but I do know a bit of her background and a bit of the story from some of the other female hockey books that I've read.
That's awesome.
What would you say would be a good selling point for you? I mean, you haven't finished it yet, but like you haven't put it down. It's only been in your hands since last Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
And you've been knocking through it pretty good. What do you think's a good selling point for it, for people that are interested?
Well, for me, I think it really it brings to light a lot of the challenges that was faced, back then in the 20s and 30s and, 40s and 50s and even up until now. It's like that. And it really brings to light that, hockey is for everyone. And I know that hashtag and that whole sentiment is going around a lot lately. Hockey is for everyone. It really is. But I think that this book and what she touches on, one thing I like that she said in the very beginning is like, her story is not unique. It's not unique because there are so many female hockey players out there that have the same story, having to fight to get ice time, having to, deal with ridicule from people saying, oh, you're playing hockey, and just making fun of them for that, or saying that, they're a woman, they need to be doing women's work, which I got words for that.
Yeah, for real.
But I think that it really opens up, my eye, because, and especially in light of what's going on today in women's hockey with the PWHPA and the NWHL and all the boycott going on, the 5 leagues with, the Canadian Hockey League for the women shutting down. It really brings to light all of that stuff, and how 50 plus years later, we're still fighting this battle, and we really need to all of us need to step up our game. So I think it's a really good insight into what happened, what's still happening, and how we can change and make the difference in today's. Because there are so many women out there and girls that want to play, but they don't have the means to. And all of us have a part to play in this. So it's a good read. I love it.
That's awesome. It reminds me of the phrase, can't be what she can't see.
Yes.
That's going around in the female hockey world, like
yes.
getting money, getting marketing behind it, getting people's butts in seats to watch these women play is a fight that they're still fighting.
Yes.
And unfortunately, not much has changed in 50 years.
Which is sad. It really is sad. Because if you think about it, there's so much that's changed with men's hockey and the advancements that keep going. It's like, well, why can't women's hockey, why can't that move forward just as much and just as fast? And so it's a bummer, but yet it's books like these that are going to bring awareness to it. And I think it's a good start. Read, it's called Challenges Faced by Women in Hockey, Offside, a memoir by Rhonda Lehman Taylor. So check it out. Add it to those stocking stuffers for those women hockey lovers.
No. For hockey lovers.
You're true. That's accurate.
Yes.
Good call.
That's a good one. All right, Dan, I know you had a couple that you wanted to talk about. You feel free to choose. I was interested in the They Don't Play Hockey in Heaven, but I know you kind of wanted to move away from that, so I'll just throw that title out there if people want to check it out. But you had brought up Beartown and Us Versus You. Is that the two?
Yeah, I can actually, just to touch on They Don't Play Hockey in Heaven, I think that's a powerful story, and really Beartown and Us Versus You are two books that are connected. So
okay,
we can kind of review them as one storyline. But they don't play hockey in heaven. I picked it up for a box at Friends of the Library sale over here in Seattle. The first page that I turned to lists out a bunch of stuff that I won't ruin, but a lot of it, basically the message behind it is don't leave your dreams on the pillow. Like, go out and pursue them. And this guy, Ken Baker, who is the author of the book, was a goalie for Colgate University in the 80s. So, kind of a powerhouse East Coast hockey organization. Gets a brain tumor that he doesn't know about that causes him to lactate. And for those of you who don't know what that means, that's what your mom did. That's what fed you. And so he's a guy who's lactating and a goalie in a really traditionally male sport that values toughness and things like that. And
right.
He just kind of bailed on the whole thing because he didn't know what to do. Got cured, cancer went into remission, all of that. But in the meantime, he became a writer and was writing for Us Weekly. The guy still writes and does a lot of stuff out there. But he was 30 years old and said, hey, I've always wanted to follow this dream of playing professional hockey. And so it's his story really of doing that, of finding an organization, the Bakersfield Condors, which though they may be affiliated with Edmonton now. I grew up in Fresno, just down the street, and played on the Junior Falcons, who played the Junior Condors. And the Condors had, and he mentions this in his book, in some sections of the boards, they just had chicken wire up. So not exactly the most stellar organization of the time. It was really bootstrapped. But he goes into that organization, works his way into, nobody gave him a free ride, and only the leadership knew his story. None of his teammates did. He kept it all from him and just followed this dream of playing goalie. And he was a backup for a good chunk of the season. Due to injury, became a starter. And so it's just a fascinating look into minor league hockey.
That's
like
awesome.
we all think of like the NHL and the glitz and the glamour, but this is the staying at the Howard Johnson, eating on $20 a day, if that, sleeping in bed-bug ridden beds and stuff like that. And he was a successful writer, so he's really taken a hit here. And there are moments of levity where he's just like, basically, what the hell am I doing? And his, I can't remember whether it was his girlfriend or his wife at the time of the writing was like, I don't know, but if you're willing to follow it, go ahead. You can do this.
Wow. But
it leaves him shaking his head more than a few times in there.
Yeah, that's really cool. I love a lot of those stories from minor league hockey, and there's so much there. I know one of my books, and I'll touch more on it, but one of my books kind of looks at that stuff on a character named John Brophy. I don't know if anybody listening is familiar with him, but if you're not, you should look that name up. He was a character. He was the coach of the Hampton Roads Admirals when I started following hockey way back in the day. And anyway, I'll touch on that as my recommended book here in a little bit. The one that I've read and I constantly talk about, it's called Boy on Ice. And that was kind of the story of Aaron Bugard. And I don't know if anybody's familiar. Dan, I think you and I have talked a little bit about it. You're familiar with the story of Aaron Bugard, right?
Yeah, Boog.
Yeah, he was
for sure.
Big, tough. He was one of the old school hockey players, in my opinion. He was. Some people would say, quote unquote, a goon. I definitely think he was more than that. But he was a tough guy.
So when I think of goons, I always think of Broad Street Bullies. So
Broad Street
like
Bullies.
That.
Yeah, the team of goons.
He was definitely an enforcer, for sure. That was a role that he was brought in for.
For sure. And that's where he made his living a lot. And actually, I said it wrong. It wasn't Aaron Bugard. It was Derek Bugard. His brother's name was Aaron Bugard, and Aaron played here in Tri-Cities way back in the day. So
That's right. I remember you talking
Yeah, I was
about
waiting
that.
for you to catch that.
it's funny because around here, when people talk about Bugard, you'd say Bugard, and they just know it's Aaron Bugard.
Right.
So, but Derek, very tragic story. I mean, as far as a lot going on, mentally, physically, he kind of knew what his role was, but he wanted to be more than that. But being a part of that world, being a part of that enforcer role, there was a lot of physical pain, a lot of mental pain. He was medicated in a lot of ways.
Wow.
Because in my opinion, there's a lot of things that the NHL doesn't necessarily do right when it comes to substance abuse and dealing with that sort of thing. So he kind of fell victim to being addicted to painkillers and alcohol and all that stuff. And it ended up killing him. In fact, his brother was the one that found him in a hotel room, I believe, or staying with him or something like that. I forget what the whole story was. But it kind of walks through the tragedy of his relationships, and different things that he went to. And it what it did for me was it opened up my eyes to the fact I love this game, but it is a game, and there's so much more to life than just this game. That's what it did for me.
Yeah, for sure. I read that book too, and it was a hard read at times because of the impact of what he was doing to himself to deal with the pain and to self-medicate, and his relationships from everybody from his dad to his brothers and his girlfriend. And it's just, you can see it happening before it happens as you're reading it. And you, even though you know the end of the story, you're just like, I just want him to wake up or do something different.
Yeah. You find you find yourself rooting for the guy the whole time, and that's the tragedy of it, is what's going to happen, and you want to see him overcome everything, and unfortunately, it was just life just got the better of him, and
right. And
go ahead.
I was gonna say, sorry, you hit on the key there for me, which is you want to root for him, and when you watch these people fight, I watched him fight. I think a lot of us did.
Yeah.
And before we really knew kind of the damage that does to a person, we were all, like everybody else, getting up in the stands, cheering him on. Yeah, go ahead, bust his jaw, hit him. And then, as you say, there's a lot more to it than that. And that book really hit such a mark with that. Yeah,
it was kind of a crossroads for me in trying to figure out. Once again, I love this game, and I have to say, I mean, I'm going to be 100% honest. I love to see a good tilt. I love to see a good fight in a game. But the ones that are just called upon to just fight all the time, what sort of damage is it doing to them? And that's what gets me.
Does that still happen in the state? Like these games, like expectations for players or enforcers to fight?
I feel like in the junior level, there are still people that come in and play their 4 or 5 years as quote unquote enforcers.
And you're talking about WHL.
I'm talking WHL, OHL, the CHL in general, even junior A, stuff like that. And they earn their college degrees that way.
Yeah.
In the NHL, the role is starting to go away. In fact, it's not starting to go away; it is going away.
Interesting.
The likes of Ryan Reeves and stuff like that, they're becoming few and far between.
Yeah.
Yeah, even Reeves and some of the quote unquote enforcers now aren't really fighting to the level that these guys did for years and years. Like Boogs and some of the other folks, like Federer and those guys, were kind of the last of the guard. You think about like John Scott and those guys too.
Yeah,
that would throw knuckles, and that was their job. And now you have to skate, you have to be able to assist and score, you have to be a more well-rounded player, whereas before you'd keep somebody a little scary on your team. Like a Matt Martin is kind of somebody that I think about it for the Isles now, who's not necessarily all enforcer, but he definitely puts the fear of somebody crossing into his blue line.
Sure. Somebody like Chris Stewart with the Flyers this year, the Flyers GM knew about him in Minnesota from before, and Chris Stewart's been a journeyman for a while. And he knows he's kind of that third, fourth line I don't even know if third line role is the right thing. He's a fourth liner, and he's brought in to bring energy. He's brought in to bring a toughness to a team. But even he knows he's part of a dying breed. So, yeah. Anyway, that's a good one. It's a good one if you want
to be depressed and sad.
No, I don't even know if depressed.
Well, you both have said that it's a tough read,
but
so
it's a good eye opener.
Yeah,
in
for
my
sure.
opinion.
So who did he write it?
No.
Okay, so it was written by.
I forget. It's out on my shelf right now. I should have had it in here.
Yeah,
with me.
see, I was good, and I brought my book in to make sure I had
did.
all the information.
I'm sitting right here looking at it, but it's just called Boy on Ice. If you look that up, it'll bring you to it. So, so that's a good one. Dan, anything else? What I know you're a book nerd, man, and I love it. But you've got a list of stuff. Anything that you wanted to touch on? There's one other one I'm going to talk about before we're done. But was there any other one you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, we spoke about it earlier. There's plenty more that I could touch on, but that would take like 6 or 7 podcasts. The ones that I wanted to touch on are there's a gentleman by the name of Frederick Bachman. He's a Swede, and he wrote a book called Beartown, which I happen to be wearing my Washington Wild Team hockey shirt at work.
Nice.
And somebody's like, "Yeah, right. You got to represent."
Yeah.
And somebody's like, "Oh, you like youth hockey? You'd probably like this book, Beartown." And I was like, "Okay, I'm always willing to take a suggestion." And so I picked up the book, and even in the state where I can barely find time to read, because I'm playing dad taxi and stuff like that so much, I just devoured that book. It is a fantastic read that follows this Swedish youth hockey team in a tiny little town, and they call it Beartown because it's in the middle of the woods on a lake, and it follows the arc of the team as well as those people surrounding the team throughout the course of the year. And they have, everything from the child of refugees whose mom cleans up the rink to the well-to-do kids to the general manager of the place and the peripherals. And at this point, like being a book nerd, the author of this book has better character development than just about any other author I've read in the last 2 decades.
Nice.
And it's peripheral that it's about hockey, kinda. But man, if you get a chance and you want to read a fiction piece, a little escapist, because there's so much out there that's nonfiction, like Boy on Ice, etc. This book is a great escape, but it is meaty. The only issue that I had with it is in the first book, they touched on every position on the ice, except for the goalie. I'm like, bro, you leave the goalie out? Come on. Everybody leaves the goalie out. They're standing over there waiting for somebody to practice with them. And then the follow-up book to that, I read that and had to wait about a year and a half. And a friend of mine touched base with me, and she'd bought me a copy of it. And I said, keep it, because I'd given her and her husband my copy of it, and they'd lent it about 7 times over. And I'd already bought the book Us versus You, which is the follow-up book to that, which follows the story arc of that group even further. And it's just a phenomenal read. I don't want to talk too much about it other than giving you the kind of basics there, because it is just a meaty book that it's exciting to read, because you don't, unlike Boog's story, you don't know what's going to happen next, and there's twists and turns all over the place. But
I've already added it to my cart, so I'm so excited to read this one.
Awesome. Every character in there is believable. Every character in there has 3 dimensions. It's just really a fantastic read.
Sweet. And she's not lying. It literally is in the cart right now. So
good. Let me know what you think of it, and it'll probably be loaned out to more than just Darren, because it's a fantastic read.
I like it.
Before you jump on yours, I'm going to throw one out. I haven't read it, but when
we can get. We've all got some things that are on the bench right now. Hi, you like what I did there? I said on the bench.
Haha, so funny. No, but I'm not even going to read it. Well, no, I probably will. It's a kid's book.
Oh.
There's kids hockey books called Lucy Tries Hockey. It's all about a female little girl wanting to go and check out hockey, and I'm like, hey, go pick it up on Amazon. It's like $10.
That's awesome. I haven't read it, but any book on the sport, I'm willing to throw out.
I know,
there.
and for kids and stuff like that, we just talking about, and when we started, just about bringing awareness, to hockey for little girls, for young women and stuff like that, and hey, get them starting young. So that's really cool.
Absolutely.
Dan, I think you should throw out the fart that followed me to hockey practice. Was that the name of the game or the book?
It is, and unfortunately, because I'm driving, I don't remember the author. I don't have the author's name memorized. The irony of that book, I flipped through it, and it was pretty damn funny. But the irony of it is, I'm like, dude, we all know the rink stink that's in hockey bags, and especially with goalies, overrides any fart smell. So I can't imagine any kid who plays hockey for any length of time feeling at all bad about a fart smell. I'm like, no. Just clean your gear. That's what you got to worry about, kid, not your fart smell.
Right. It's so funny because every time I'm down, filming for the team and I'm down close to the bench and I want to rip one, I'm just like, I can because nobody's going to smell it anyway. So,
well, they can hear it.
No, they won't hear it. Trust me. They're too busy chirping at that point. Nobody would hear anything.
So you're saying it's a safe place to fart
during a game, not like if I'm on the ice, and there's nobody in the stands and we're doing something. Yeah, it is a safe place to fart.
I'm going to remember that. So the next time I have to fart.
No, on the ice.
I know what
not
you're
in
saying.
the stands. No.
That's not. Yeah. The big no-no. The big no-no there, like farting on the bench, no big deal. The big no-no there is don't take your. How do I put this delicately? Don't take your pregame BM in the dressing room.
Right.
Go out and use the public restroom for that. You don't want to do that. That's like one of the hugest hockey no-nos. I want to say Kyla Jane from Women's Hockey Life, I think, just posted that today, and I had just taken a drink of coffee and I just about spit it out. So like, oh, feel you there, sister. Totally feel you.
That is so funny. Yeah, you're absolutely right. That's kind of like taking a number 2 on the bus. You just don't do it. So, wow. Okay. So, by the way, the day my fart followed me to hockey was written by Ben Jackson and Sam Lawrence. So, if anybody
thank you for calling in a favor like that. Appreciate it
for sure. What do you have on the list that excites you the most?
Which one of us?
That would be you, Mr. Brown.
That's upcoming.
Yeah.
It's been parked out in my cart for a long time, but I still want to read like Ken Dryden, who wrote The Game, which is just, the seminal hockey book. It's the one that everybody reads and rereads, and it's just phenomenal. But there's a piece that he wrote about Steve Montador, who is a colleague, if you will, or a peer of Derek Bugard, and for a time period, and died with CTE. And his whole premise on that is basically that we need to take a lot of the fighting and hitting out of the game in order to have these people have better lives. And that's definitely been a hot button subject for the sport for the past few years, for the past decade, really. But he really digs into it. And as a guy who, played goalie in the pro ranks, is a phenomenal writer, and watched the effects of this game on people that he knew. Pavlevich is the other guy that I was thinking of from the Miracle team recently, who his family thinks he has CTE. I mean, there's just the game is littered with these stories, and so his story about Steve Montador is one that I definitely have on my list because I want to take it out and see what he's got to say, because I respect his opinion.
For sure. Dryden. Yeah. I mean, he's one of those that I don't think just makes knee-jerk reactions. Like he really thinks about it before he writes. Such a class act. So yeah, Montador's another one of those sad ones. I know Danny Carcillo, I believe, was roommates with him in Chicago. And that's where Carcillo kind of started down his, I don't even know exactly what I would call it. But he's trying to bring a lot of awareness to how the league has kind of overlooked some things, a lot of things.
Yeah, totally. It's kind of his path or his mission. I think he said a couple of times.
Yeah.
Where he's just like, I got to shed light on, I saw the light, not religiously, but he saw the light in what was going on with Montador, and that really gave him a purpose to try to open everybody's eyes to this and tell the stories that aren't being told. And boy, does that guy taking a lot of heat for it too.
He's taken a lot of heat since day one with that stuff. So, it is what it is, as far as what he's coming from. He's got a perspective that a lot of us don't have. So,
that's true. I find interesting that a lot of people that get on him are the armchair defense people,
yeah,
or the armchair wingers, not the people who were on ice. A lot of the folks that were on the ice with him are supportive of him.
For sure. Man, a lot of heavy ones today. The one I want to... Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I got a fun one.
Okay.
It's not heavy.
Well, and this actually plays into one that Dan has on the list, too.
Oh, yeah?
So, yeah.
Mine's the Fundies, the Essential Hockey Guide from On the Bench. That would be fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Those guys have been killing me since day one, and that's on my list, too. And definitely it would be a good balance to reading some of the heavier stories.
Yeah, for sure. I can't even imagine what it's going to be about, like just reading it and watching them on their YouTube channel like every week. And I'm just like dying, like, oh my God, this book is going to be eppy. So totally got to write that
those
down.
Guys, like they take some serious pucks.
Yes, they do.
I know.
With no or very little padding. And I know that they're involved as coaches and things like that, but I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
Like, it's all for comedy, but you guys are really giving it up and you know how that had to leave a puck-sized welt and a bruise after you were done.
It makes me cringe like when I used to watch the Jackass movies in a lot of ways. So, doesn't quite go that far, but they're fun. They're such good guys. And yeah, we saw their behind the scenes talking about them being coaches and all their stuff.
I think that's awesome.
They seem like class acts for sure. So.
Well, joke. They're like a big joke too.
Oh yeah. The one that I want to read, and I'm going to have to pull it up because I have it in my list, but once again, it's about John Brophy. John Brophy was a, what are you doing here, babe? Just pull up Amazon for me on your phone. But John Brophy was the coach of the Hampton Roads Admirals when I started following hockey a lot. He was mid-90s. And all that stuff. He was a character. John Brophy was the epitome of kind of that old school coach. I think if he was still around, there might be some stories about him that would be coming out this day and age. But he was a tough coach, but he was a winning coach as well. And the more that I learned about him, it's in my list. I have it in my list.
Yeah, I'm trying to like guess how to spell Brophy's last name. I'm like, yeah, nothing's coming up.
It's Brophy, I think.
Yep.
There's a P in there.
Yep.
I'm spelling it with F's, trying to figure it out in my brain.
Funny. Here, it's in my book list. Here it is. It's called Brof, On and Off the Ice with John Brophy, one of hockey's most colorful people. Oh, colorful characters, I'm sorry, that's pretty much the way to describe John Brophy, was a colorful character. But he was one of the first people that I really remember in person from my hockey journey. And I didn't realize how much of a character he was in the world. He's been professional, junior hockey, all that sort of stuff. So that's a book I want to check out. I would love to have been a fly on the wall in a lot of Brophy's locker rooms because I think it could have been extremely interesting. Just based on what he would do on the bench. I mean, what he was not afraid to hide on the bench. Makes me think that behind closed doors, it could have got real interesting. So
yeah, methinks there wasn't a big editor in Brophy's head.
No, I don't think there was any sign of a social filter or anything like that in his head. So
I should read it because I don't have one sometimes.
we can all learn, that's for sure.
Kindred spirits.
One of the things that we brought up, and man, we talked a lot about that there for a while. But one of the things we wanted to mention to you guys, if you're listening to this and any of these books kind of hit you, if we all use Amazon, I'm not even going to try to hide it. They have a thing. If you go to smile.amazon.com, that will take you to same website. It looks exactly the same. But what happens is every time you purchase from there, a percentage of your purchase goes to a charitable organization of your choosing. Dan, I know you have it set up with the Washington Wild, correct?
Yeah. It's either charitable or nonprofit, and we definitely
Yes.
have it set up with the Washington Wild. You can kind of search and pick and choose.
Yep.
Find a hockey team in your area or something you want to donate to, and a certain percentage of that goes to them.
And ours, we've had ours set up for a while to go to CAHA, which is the Amateur Hockey Association here in the Tri-City. So it's definitely something to look into. Once again, if you just go to smile.amazon.com, nothing changes. It'll still log you into your same account and all that stuff. And it'll actually tell you if the purchase you're going to be making is eligible, which most of them are. And then it's just a very small percentage that they take and put it in there. It doesn't cost you anything. It's not like you have to pay extra. They just take a percentage of your purchase and send it to these organizations. So if you are a heavy Amazon shopper and you're interested in that, if you do any shopping on Amazon, it's good. But if you're heavy, that percentage can add up over a while. So I felt like I just did a free commercial for
Amazon. I know.
Amazon.
It's like, okay, maybe.
That's good.
Hey,
though.
it's for a good cause, right?
True. That is very
It's
true.
for a very good cause, and it takes very little effort on our part. So, WHL action. We've got about a week and a half left before everybody. 2 weeks actually before everybody heads to Christmas break.
Yeah, and all the teddies are flying.
Yeah, they are. And I saw that the Hershey Bears actually broke their record.
Which is
again.
what?
I don't remember, but they broke it again.
That's awesome. Is it more than 45,000? I'm assuming because I think
Let's say it was like 49, almost 50,000.
wow, that's
Could be wrong.
awesome.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. The Americans played in 2 teddy bear tosses this weekend, and they lost them both. Do you know why Seattle waits until January to do theirs?
Do I know why?
Yeah.
No.
I don't either. I mean,
No.
I honestly don't know. It always caught my eye that they're like middle of January when they do their teddy bear toss.
Yeah, it seems like a weird time to do it when everybody else does theirs, pre-holidays or what have you.
You know what though? Maybe that's why. I mean, think about it. Everett does it around the holidays, and all those bears that get donated, and then maybe they just wanted to do it a month later or something. I mean, disperse the teddies out.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a need year round for getting needy kids teddies.
Yeah. The Ams played in Spokane and Vancouver this weekend, both of them there. And then I think, if I remember right, the Ams are actually in Seattle Friday, and then Saturday the 14th is their game here against Portland. So I don't know. I don't hold out a whole lot of hope for a win, but it'll at least
Not unless
be
you're a
fun.
Tips fan or a Winterhawks fan right now.
That's why
unless
you
you're
go
in Portland or Everett.
You go to watch the love of the game.
Absolutely. And honestly, that's a fun night. A couple of years ago, we were involved with one where they played against Seattle, and the final score was 5-1 Seattle. They didn't score the teddy bear goal till like halfway through the third period. And it was just one of those nights you want to forget, but it was still fun. So, I'm just looking at our time right now. Let's have the conversation when we come back to it about what's been going on behind closed doors with coaches and players and all that. Because I think that this conversation is going to continue on for a while. I think we've just kind of scratched the surface with it. We talked about it on Cascadia last week. Like I said, I think it'll be an ongoing thing. What do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I'd say let's table it, and we'll pick it up on our next West Side Story.
For sure.
For sure.
I think we're all on the same page, but maybe how we get there is a little bit different. So, but anyway, anytime you can bring to light this sort of stuff and deal with it, I think it makes the game better for everyone. So, all right. Did I miss anything?
No, I'm excited to read some more books. I got Beartown in my cart ready to purchase. So thanks for the recommendation there.
Yeah, you bet. And I'll have to check out Offsides too when I get a chance.
For sure. I'll read that one after she's done with it. I do want to say, like, if anybody listening, if you got any suggestions, drop them for us on our social media or hello@theburiedpuckthreads.com.
And let me know what newbie, since I'm a newbie hockey reader. Let me know what books I should read.
And thank you, Dan, so much for finding some music for us. We are actually leading in and coming out today with the first artist that you sent to me. I'm kind of putting you on the spot here because I had the information pulled up on my computer and now I don't. Can you give me a quick plug for him?
Yeah. It's a guy that I play hockey with, and his kids in our organization. Great guy. Scored 4 goals last night too, by the way.
Woo-hoo!
But his name's Mike Pellegrini, and his tune is River Slide.
It's a good one. You guys will have heard it on the intro, and we're going to take the show out tonight with the same track. So check him out. We just want to showcase music as well on here. So anyway, it's the holidays. My brain's swimming right now. So I want to thank you guys so much. Dan, thanks for taking some time again, especially in traffic and all that, and hanging out with us today.
Thanks for giving me the platform and the time, sir.
For sure, man. And my lovely wife, who's giving me the look right now that she's hungry. It's time for dinner.
Yes. So. My belly is screaming.
All right. Everyone, remember, it's the holidays. Be good to each other. Be good to each other all the time, but especially this time of year, you don't know what battle the other person is fighting.
Very true.
Good.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Till next time, that is West Side Story out.